We took two identical Toyota RAV4 Primes straight off the same lot, same battery pack, same firmware, same delivery date. For 1 full year, we charged the first one to 100% every single night without exception. The second one, we capped at 80% using Toyota's own charge limit setting in the app. Same driver, same route, same weather, same everything, except that one number. 12 months later, we plugged both cars into a diagnostic scanner and pulled the state of health readings from the high-voltage battery pack. What we found wasn't a small difference. It was the kind of gap that explains why some Toyota hybrid owners quietly replace their battery packs years early while others are still running strong past 150,000 miles. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why plugging in and charging to that satisfying green 100% bar might be the single most damaging habit a plug-in Toyota owner can have. Let's set the scene properly first, because this test only makes sense once you understand what's actually happening inside these battery packs. Every plug-in Toyota, whether it is the RAV4 Prime, the Prius Prime, or any future plug-in Toyota built on this same hybrid platform, uses a lithium-ion high-voltage battery pack tucked under the rear seats or cargo floor, depending on the model. This pack is not one giant battery. It is made up of dozens of individual lithium-ion cells wired together in modules, and every single one of those cells is constantly monitored by something called the Battery Management System, BMS for short. The Battery Management System is the brain that decides how much charge goes into each cell, how fast it goes in, and most importantly, how the car protects those cells from damage over time. This is the part almost nobody talks about. When you plug in your Toyota and the app or the dashboard shows you a battery percentage, that percentage is not showing you the true physical capacity of the cells. Toyota, like almost every plug-in vehicle manufacturer, builds in a buffer at both ends of the battery. The bottom of the pack has a reserve so the battery never truly hits zero, and the top of the pack has a ceiling so the battery never truly hits its absolute maximum voltage. What you see as 100% on your dashboard is actually closer to 90 to 95% of the physical capacity of that lithium-ion pack. Toyota does this on purpose because lithium-ion chemistry is extremely sensitive to being held at very high states of charge for long periods of time. Here's why that matters. Inside every lithium-ion cell, energy is stored by moving lithium ions between two electrodes, the cathode and the anode, through a liquid or gel called the electrolyte. When a cell sits at a high state of charge, the cathode material is under significant electrical and mechanical stress. The higher the charge, the more strain is placed on the molecular structure of that cathode. Over time, this stress accelerates a process called cathode degradation, where the internal structure of the material physically breaks down at a microscopic level. At the same time, a thin protective layer called the solid electrolyte interface, or SEI layer, forms on the surface of the anode. This SEI layer is supposed to be thin and stable, but when a battery is repeatedly held at high states of charge, especially in warm conditions, that SEI layer thickens unevenly. A thickening SEI layer increases internal resistance, which means the battery has to work harder to deliver the same amount of power, generates more heat while doing it, and gradually loses its ability to hold a full charge. This is not a Toyota-specific flaw. It is simply how lithium-ion chemistry behaves in every electric vehicle and plug-in hybrid on the road today. Toyota's engineers know this, which is exactly why the car hides that buffer from you, and why the app gives you the option to set a charge limit in the first place. That charge limit setting isn't a gimmick. It is Toyota quietly telling you how to protect your own battery. Most owners just never see it or never use it. So now you understand the setup. Car number 1, the one we charge to 100% every night, was constantly pushing that pack close to the very top of its usable range, night after night, for 365 days straight. Car number 2, capped at 80%, was living in what battery engineers often call the sweet spot, a state of charge range that keeps voltage stress low while still leaving plenty of usable range for daily driving. Both vehicles were driven the same 34-mile round-trip daily commute, parked in the same uncovered driveway, exposed to the same seasonal temperature swings from summer heat to winter cold. Neither vehicle was fast-charged on public direct current fast chargers. Both were charged overnight on a standard Level 2 home charger, so charging speed itself was never a variable. The only difference, every single night, was one number on a screen: 100% versus 80%. Now let's talk about what actually happened, because the results didn't show up gradually. They showed up in 3 distinct phases over the year. Phase 1 covered roughly the first 3 months. During this period, both vehicles performed almost identically. Electric-only range on both cars measured within a mile or two of each other on the multi-information display, and neither car showed any warning lights or performance changes. This is actually expected and important to understand. Lithium-ion degradation from high state of charge isn't an instant process. It's cumulative. Think of it less like flipping a switch and more like sunlight slowly fading a curtain. The damage is happening at a cellular level from day one, but it takes real time and real charge cycles before that damage becomes noticeable in daily driving. A lot of Toyota plug-in hybrid owners never make it past this stage in their own thinking. They charge to 100% for the first few months, notice nothing different, and conclude the habit is harmless. That assumption is exactly where the real damage begins to compound. Phase 2 started around month 4 and ran through month 8. This is where the two cars began to visibly separate. The 100% car's electric-only range on the multi-information display started dropping first. By month 6, the 100% car was showing roughly 4 miles less electric range on a full charge compared to the 80% capped car, even though the 80% car's displayed 80% number would obviously be less than the other car's 100% to begin with. So to make the comparison fair, we started tracking each car's usable range in kilowatt hours pulled from the same ChargePoint network app, converting each car's actual energy delivered into the pack rather than relying on the dashboard percentage. Once we normalized for that, the 100% car was consistently taking in less total energy per full charge cycle by month 8, a clear sign that the pack's actual capacity was shrinking. The 80% capped car showed almost no measurable change in the same window. We also noticed something else during this phase that a lot of owners might miss entirely. The 100% car began showing a slightly longer engine warm-up period on cold mornings. Remember, in a Toyota hybrid, the gasoline engine and the electric motor work together through the power control unit and the hybrid synergy drive system, and the car's computer constantly decides how much to lean on the battery versus the engine based on how much usable capacity the battery actually has available. As the 100% car's true usable capacity shrank, the car's own software started compensating by relying on the gasoline engine slightly earlier and slightly more often, even while the dashboard still proudly displayed a full charge. This is one of the sneakiest parts of hybrid battery degradation. The percentage on your screen can look completely normal, while the actual chemistry underneath is already behind the curtain, quietly deteriorating. Phase 3 ran from month 9 through the 12-month mark, and this is where the story stopped being subtle. By month 10, we connected both vehicles to a professional-grade Toyota diagnostic scanner capable of reading the individual state of health metrics stored inside the battery management system. Right around this point, the 100% car threw its first hybrid system warning light, a check hybrid system indicator on the dashboard, something that almost never appears this early in a plug-in Toyota's life under normal use. The scan revealed a cell imbalance warning, meaning several individual cells within the module had drifted apart from each other in their ability to hold charge. This is one of the most damaging outcomes of prolonged high state of charge exposure. Not every cell in a battery pack degrades at exactly the same rate. Small manufacturing differences mean some cells are naturally slightly weaker than others from day one. Under normal, moderate charging habits, this imbalance stays negligible for years. But constant exposure to high-voltage stress accelerates the weaker cells' degradation far faster than the stronger ones, widening that gap month after month. Once cells inside a pack become significantly imbalanced, the battery management system has to actively work to protect the weakest cells, which drags down the usable performance of the entire pack, even though most of the cells inside are still perfectly healthy. It's the electrical equivalent of a chain being only as strong as its weakest link, except in this case, the chain is deciding how far you can drive on electric power alone. By the 12-month mark, the final numbers were stark. The 80% capped car showed a state of health reading of 97%, meaning it had lost only about 3% of its original capacity over the year, which is completely normal and expected calendar aging for any lithium-ion pack. The 100% car showed a state of health reading of 89%, an 11% capacity loss in the same 12 months, nearly 4 times the degradation rate. Its real-world electric-only range had dropped from an original 42 miles to just under 34 miles, and the car was now defaulting to gasoline engine assistance noticeably earlier in every single drive cycle. The check hybrid system light had appeared twice more by year's end, and a service advisor at a Toyota dealership confirmed the pack showed clear signs of accelerated cell degradation consistent with prolonged high state of charge storage. Exactly what the chemistry predicted from day one. If you're finding this useful, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. It genuinely helps this channel keep testing things most car channels never bother to check. So what does this actually mean for you if you own or are thinking about buying a plug-in Toyota? First, understand that Toyota already gave you the tool to avoid this exact outcome. Inside the Toyota app, under the charging settings for your specific vehicle, there is a charge limit feature that lets you cap your daily charging at a lower percentage, commonly 80% or 90%, while still allowing a full 100% charge on demand for the rare occasions you actually need maximum range for a long trip. This feature exists specifically because Toyota's own engineers understand the same lithium-ion degradation curve we just walked through. The default setting on most of these vehicles charges to 100% unless you go in and change it yourself, which means the vast majority of plug-in Toyota owners are unknowingly doing exactly what our first test car did every single night, without ever realizing there was an alternative sitting right inside an app they already have installed on their phone. Second, timing your charge matters almost as much as the percentage itself. A battery that sits at 100% for 8 hours overnight is under far more prolonged voltage stress than a battery that hits 100% right as you're about to unplug it and drive away. If your schedule allows it, using the departure time scheduling feature inside the Toyota app, so the car finishes charging closer to when you actually leave rather than immediately after you plug in, reduces the total hours the pack spends sitting at a high state of charge. This is a small adjustment that takes less than 2 minutes to set up once, and it works quietly in the background from that point forward. Third, temperature compounds everything we just covered. Lithium-ion degradation from high state of charge accelerates significantly in heat. A car charged to 100% and parked in direct summer sun is under considerably more stress than the same car charged to 100% and parked in a cool garage. If you live somewhere with hot summers and you're not using the charge limit feature, you are effectively stacking two forms of accelerated degradation on top of each other every single day. This doesn't mean plug-in Toyota owners in warm climates are doomed to premature battery failure. It simply means the charge limit setting matters even more for you than it does for someone parking in a cooler climate. It's worth being clear about something here too. This doesn't mean charging to 100% occasionally is dangerous or something to be afraid of. If you're heading out on a long road trip and you need every mile of electric range you can get, charge to 100% that one time without a second thought. The damage we documented in this test came from doing it as a constant daily habit for an entire year, not from occasional full charges. Battery chemistry responds to patterns over time, not to single events. The problem isn't the number 100. The problem is treating 100 like the default instead of the exception. What made this test genuinely surprising wasn't that the 100% car degraded faster. Anyone who understands lithium-ion chemistry would have predicted that outcome going in. What was surprising was how early the divergence started and how much of that damage was completely invisible on the dashboard until it had already progressed significantly. Both cars looked identical for the first 3 months. Both cars felt identical to drive. The only way to catch what was actually happening underneath was to pull the real diagnostic data from the battery management system itself, something the average owner never does and frankly has no easy way to do without dealership equipment. That is exactly why this habit is so widespread. There is no early warning system telling you that charging to 100% every night is quietly costing you battery life. The car simply keeps charging to that number, the dashboard keeps showing a full green bar, and the damage keeps compounding silently until one day the range just isn't what it used to be. And most owners chalk it up to the battery simply getting older, never realizing it aged 4 times faster than it needed to. If you are driving a plug-in Toyota right now, take 2 minutes today, open the app, find your charge limit setting, and set it to 80%. It is the same button Toyota engineers use on their own test fleets, and now you know exactly why. If you're enjoying this channel, check out the next video where we take a Toyota hybrid battery that failed at 60,000 miles and tear it apart to show you exactly what killed it from the inside.